Abraham Lincoln was the 16th President of the United States, serving from March 1861 until his assassination in April 1865. Lincoln led the country through its greatest internal crisis, the American Civil War, preserved the Union, ended slavery, strengthened the federal government, and modernized the economy. Lincoln was elected president in 1860, at a time when the country was deeply divided over the issue of slavery. He was a member of the Republican Party, which was opposed to the expansion of slavery into new territories. Shortly after taking office, Lincoln faced a crisis when several Southern states seceded from the Union. He refused to recognize their right to secede and took steps to maintain federal control over the rebellious states. This led to the outbreak of the Civil War in 1861. Lincoln's main goal during the Civil War was to preserve the Union, and he took several measures to achieve this, including issuing the Emancipation Proclamation in 1862. The Emancipation Proclamation was a presidential proclamation and executive order issued by President Abraham Lincoln on January 1, 1863, during the American Civil War. It declared that all slaves in the Confederate States shall be thenceforward, and forever free. Lincoln had long been opposed to slavery and had publicly stated that he believed it was morally wrong. However, his primary goal at the outset of the Civil War was to preserve the Union, not to end slavery. As the war progressed and it became clear that the Confederacy was not going to voluntarily return to the Union, Lincoln began to see the Emancipation Proclamation as a way to weaken the Confederacy and end the war. The Emancipation Proclamation had many significant impacts. It allowed Lincoln to present the war as a struggle for freedom and helped to shift the focus of the conflict from preserving the Union to abolishing slavery. It also encouraged many African Americans to join the Union Army and fight for their freedom. Lincoln's decision to issue the Emancipation Proclamation was not without controversy. Many in the North opposed it, either because they did not believe in the abolition of slavery or because they believed it would be unpopular with voters. Despite these objections, Lincoln believed it was the right thing to do and moved forward with the proclamation. Lincoln gave the Gettysburg Address, which is considered one of the greatest speeches in American history and is remembered for its eloquence and its powerful reaffirmation of the country's founding ideals. It has been frequently quoted. All men are created equal, and government of the people, by the people, for the people, and is still studied and admired today for its profound impact on American history and its enduring themes of democracy, equality, and freedom. President Lincoln, after the Battle of Gettysburg, issued the Thanksgiving Proclamation. This proclamation officially established Thanksgiving as a national holiday to be celebrated. Abraham Lincoln also played a significant role in the adoption of the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendments to the United States Constitution. These amendments, which were passed during and after the Civil War, were a major part of Lincoln's efforts to rebuild the country and ensure the rights and equality of all citizens. The 13th Amendment, which was adopted in 1865, was a key part of Lincoln's efforts to abolish slavery and involuntary servitude throughout the United States and ensure that all Americans were treated equally under the law. The 14th Amendment, which was adopted in 1868, granted citizenship to all people born or naturalized in the United States and ensured that no state could deny any person within its jurisdiction equal protection of the laws. This amendment was a key part of Lincoln's efforts to ensure that African Americans, who had been freed from slavery by the 13th Amendment, were treated equally under the law and had the same rights and protections as other citizens. The 15th Amendment, which was adopted in 1870, prohibited the denial of the right to vote based on race, color, or previous condition of servitude. This amendment was a key part of Lincoln's efforts to ensure that African Americans had the same voting rights as white Americans and could fully participate in the political process. In 1865, Lincoln was re-elected as president and began working on a plan to rebuild the country and reconcile with the Southern states. However, his efforts were cut short when he was assassinated by Confederate sympathizer John Wilkes Booth in April 1865. Overall, Lincoln's presidency was marked by his leadership during the Civil War and his efforts to end slavery and preserve the Union. He is widely regarded as one of the greatest presidents in American history.